Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Not sure what part of the world you are that you're listening to this. I just want to say thank you and God bless you as you listen. Today we'll continue with our series, Test to Testimony, and we also will continue to take some of the points that was made in the book, Change Your World. And that's the basis of the stories we'll started telling, or we'll, of course, we'll continue to tell tonight. We started a couple of weeks ago, this series of Test to Testimony to share with people real life stories of those who have gone through one thing or the other. And God has used that circumstance, the situation, the hardship, whatever you want to call it, to change their lives. And of course, and as a result, they were also able to use the situation that turned the testimony to change the world. So today, I do want to introduce myself. If this is the first time of joining our platform, my name is Tina Ibironke. And today, I'll be the one telling the stories. And I believe that God has one thing or the other for you and I as you listen. Our organization is called DANA, but we do have this book club series whereby we read books. We discuss some points from experts in that field that we can apply to our lives. Everything here, again, there are suggestions. Nothing is mandatory. No one is saying that you should go ahead and do this as a mandate. But we'd love to share from the foundation of Christ and also be able to encourage people, as I encourage myself as well, that there's nothing God cannot do. And especially for this platform, and when you're going through a test, a challenge, whatever the situation may be, it's because at the end of the day, you'll come out stronger, better with a testimony, which you and I are supposed to use to go and change the world as we use that testimony to spread the gospel, also to impact and change lives one way or the other. You never know. So your test today, your challenges today, whatever it is that you're facing today that seems to be insurmountable, it's probably God testing you. So lean to God, lean closer to Him, not farther away from Him. With that said, our third point today, we started a couple of weeks ago, and by the grace of God, we've shared some very interesting stories. If you have not listened or you haven't heard, I will encourage you to go back to our Test to Testimony series on YouTube and listen to the past stories. Today, we're moving forward. Still, we're trying to draw a few points and strategies from the book, Change Your World, written by John Maxwell and Rob Hoskins. Again, the book where we're trying to draw some knowledge from, which I'll encourage you to read as well. If you're a reader, is Change the World. And we're just taking points out of this book to lay foundation, at least from the experts, as to build on that foundation. So the book is called Change Your World, written by John Maxwell and Rob Hoskins. All right, so with that said, today I do want to encourage us to become a catalyst for a change. The first week we talked about us asking, maybe you're asking ourselves, so who is going to change your world? Or is going to change, in some contexts, the world, because your world is different than mine. We established that is you. Second week, we established that we need people. So you're changing the world, it has to be among some setup, something, family, environment, neighborhood. It might be your work, your job, your community, whatever you are. That actually is your world. So today we're going to move on and we'll talk about just one other thing that I took out of the book. You become a catalyst for that change. So as an individual, we already know that we are the change. We already know, looking at the environment that God has put us, that we ought to do something. You have the gift in you. You have the talent in you as a believer. The next step is now you have to be the catalyst for change. We're not saying go from, some people might say, oh, why don't I want to leave my comfort zone? Well, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. In order for you to get comfortable with the purpose that God has given you, you probably have to be uncomfortable. So today, I want to say, be the catalyst for change. And you and I, we have a gift and talent in us that God has deposited, and that is for you to use to actually impact lives, add values to lives, change someone's life. We're not talking about, some people might say, oh, change the world. No, we're saying change your world. So we're saying move forward, take a step outside your comfort zone. Look at others, look around you. What is needed? How can you change someone's life? How can you touch a life? What exactly is God telling you? You might be going through a difficult situation. You're thinking, what can I do for everyone? Even I need help. The point is, wherever you are, whatever is going through, or you're going through, or whatever is actually going on around you, within you, probably has some sort of probably great effect on you. As a believer, we ought to know that God is taking you through that for a reason and for a purpose. Of course, I don't know your situation, I don't know your circumstances, but the Bible made us understand that whatever it is, it says we should take heart that the Lord Almighty has already overcome the world. So whatever situation, you already know that God has already overcome the world, that trouble, that hindrance, that challenges, that whatever is this sickness, illness, trouble, whatever it is, that is right now, we already know that we have God is greater, who is greater than all those troubles, greater than the challenges that you're facing. That song says, God is greater than every trouble. Whatever it is that you might see, I've not seen before you're going through, God is greater than it all. So we need to kind of stay calm and allow God to fight our battles for us and be still. Of course, here we are, we're thinking, how can I be still when I'm going through this? I want to tell you a story. Like I said, this series, actually, we titled it Test to Testimony. So we want to learn from people who has actually lived the life that we're talking about, meaning that they've been through, and from what they've been through, they've been able to change it. That hardship as they've been through, it's not necessarily that they're probably through with it. It's just that they've actually used that opportunity to touch others' lives, to change other people's lives, to be able to become the testimony that people will see and say, you know what, if that person can go through that and become that, or use this to change lives, then I can actually, I know that if you're still going through that situation, I know that, of course, mine also, there'll be an end to it, and I'll have testimony. And that's the whole point of this series, is not to bore you, but also to give you and to encourage you, as I encourage myself, to give you a different perspective to the troubles and the challenges and the wind that's blowing and the storm, that God is able to do all things. As long as you hold on to God, hold on to your faith, of course, believing that God himself will take you through it. So you don't want to drop the ball along the way and just give up. That song says, I think I sang the same song last week that says, don't give up on God, because he would not give up on you. So I believe I sang the song the last time. Maybe I didn't, but if you don't know the song says that God will always do whatever he says he will do. He will always fulfill his promise to you. It says, don't give up on God, because he will not give up on you. So brethren, today we say, don't give up on God. And the title, actually, I guess what I took out from the book to kind of to make it some sort of, to give us some sort of foundation, is you become the catalyst for that change. So if you've been through, or you're going through, now you need to say, okay, this is the situation I'm going through. Maybe I can share with someone. Maybe I can turn the situation to someone else also in my situation. Probably, or maybe it's going through, I'm able to help the person. So be the catalyst for change. Do not let your troubles, your problems, don't let it draw you back from what God really wants you. Maybe God is refining you to become better. So now you can actually use it as an instrument for his glory. All right, so enough of that. Let's go straight on to the story that I talked about. So here, I don't know if you've watched the movie Zion. I love watching movies. I'm sure you can tell. I love watching movies a lot. I watch movies a lot. And for the most part, I just self-help. I also read self-help books, and I do like to watch true life stories, of course, movies or documentaries. Actually, in this case, it was actually a documentary about a young man called, his name is Zion. Daniels, Zion Daniels. If you haven't watched it, go on Netflix. If it's still there, maybe on YouTube, you probably can still see a couple of clips or something about Zion. All right, so who is this Zion? All right, so I'll read a little bit. I don't have time to pull all the story together. If you have not read it, go ahead. And sorry, if you have not heard about him before, Google it. It's all over, and then you can go to YouTube and watch a little. But I was touched. It really, really impacted me, touched me personally, and I'm sharing with you today just to, again, probably bring a different perspective to your situation. You may not even have the same situation. Maybe it's for someone else that you know that you might want to share with. But anyway, bear with me as I give my own perspective about Zion. Again, we're talking about you becoming a catalyst for change, regardless of your situation, circumstances. God is taking you through for a reason and for a purpose. All right. So Zion, I believe when I actually did the research, he was probably around, was it last year? Anyway, let's even say it's this year. He's a 26-year-old boy. What exactly is so special about this Zion? He was born with a cordial regression syndrome, no legs, literally. He does not have any legs. So from the tie, he doesn't have any tie, all the way down, nothing. Then was born, was given. That was actually the way they gave birth to him. The mother gave birth to him that way with no legs. I'm not talking about from the knee. I'm talking about from all the way up to like your thigh, the hip area. I'm sorry, not the hip area, but down the thigh, all the way down. He doesn't have any legs. All right, so he literally walks on his, I guess you can say, if you say walk, because he walks with his hands, but it only sits on his butt. So it says it was given up for adoption at birth. Obviously, when you have a child, I guess I'm not sure exactly the reason why the parents gave him up, so I'm not going to assume what happened, but I'm just going to leave it at that. It was given up for adoption at birth. So notice at birth. He's been moved as at the time before he finally found a place. He was moved from one home to homes, 7 to 8 different times, foster homes. He suffered mental and physical abuse, of course, in foster homes. Some definitely are perfect, some are not. Of course, we have situations and circumstances where we have children going through this. This is one example. I'm not saying first, I have nothing to say about first times. I'm just saying these are the circumstances and situations that kids may actually face. So he suffered mental and physical abuse. Finally, at 16 from birth, since he was given up by his parents, he finally found a home. At 16, a loving family took him in. After all that he's been through, the mental abuse and physical abuse and all those things that has probably made him weaken him or strengthen something may have happened, at least during those years. Could have given up, probably given up on life. Someone that doesn't have legs, obviously, he needs the help. So finally, when the family adopted him to put him in the school, but they were very supportive. They supported him, fed him, the nutrition, everything he needs, the support that he needs was given to him by this family. So by the grace of God, I would say gradually he was adopted, meaning he actually joined a sport where he wrestles. And the wrestling at the time, the coach really liked him. And I guess because it was getting the support it needed at home, as well as when he was actually also in school, he was getting support from the coach, he was getting support from both ends, and that encouraged him. So it actually went into this the sport, I guess it's wrestling sport. And with that, it began to made up his mind that he wanted to be part of that. And he was actually going to do the wrestling, I believe, the game, the championship, whatever you have to actually do. He decided to do that. He was training, he gave all of himself up for that. What am I saying? He could have given up on himself, given up on the situation. He could have said, you know what, I'm not even going to be able to make anything in life. There's 2 legs. He doesn't have any support to actually get around. I mean, he could have made a decision and just tell himself, you know what, there's no way, and there's no opportunity, or there's no way life was actually going to be better for him. But then he put every effort into the time that he had people supporting him. He put every effort into making sure that he can make the best use of that opportunity after he eventually had a loving family that was ready to support him. In school, he went to wrestling, they had tournaments, and with that group, he gained a lot of, I guess, it was well known among schools. In high school, so it was in high school, and his friends loved him, supported him, and they called him the fastest man on two hands. Today, that was actually what it was named. Clark was named the fastest man on two hands by Guinness Book of World Records. And over the years, Clark has also set 3-time world record, a man without legs. The fastest man on two hands, highest box jump with the hands, and the most diamond push-ups in 3 minutes. What am I saying? Situations, circumstances could have definitely limited. That was definitely could have been just something that could have limited him for life. He would have never been able to make it forward if his mindset, if he didn't know at least from within himself, decide that he could do better, become better, and become an example that your past does not have to define your future. And that was what made him, at least when interviewed him, that he wanted to actually become something, become better. And through his work and hard work, all the people that with special needs began to see that they don't have to be the way they were, and there shouldn't be limitation because of special need or disability. That even with that, can you imagine Guinness Book of World Record calling him the fastest man on two hands, a child that was given birth, that was actually given up of adoption, that's been mentally abused, physically abused, is faced everything a child could face that could have stopped him, his purpose, that he couldn't have just given up. But he didn't. What am I saying? Now he says he's reading books, it goes around talking about himself, he's getting an example of someone with special needs that can actually that can do better, become the person that God has created him to be. And with that, a lot of people are looking at him and saying, you know what? Look at other people, it's one kind of disability or the other, hardship or the other, that's probably one way or the other been challenged in life, maybe in different situation, maybe not the same circumstances, but maybe it's abuse, maybe it's disability, whatever the case may be. He stood as an example that life, it shouldn't end with those challenges that we face. I don't know your situation or circumstances, but I want to say when I watched this, it really, really touched me. And I like one statement that he made. This is a quote from Zion Clark. It says, "You don't need legs to leave a footprint on earth." So maybe yours is a different situation. His definitely was his legs. It says to leave a footprint, you do not need legs. I don't know what your challenges are. I don't know what the situation, what your situation is, wherever you are. But I want to challenge you with this words, that you can become a catalyst for change. You can change your world even after you've been through. So I want to encourage you, wherever you've been through, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, that we need to prepare our mind that God is taking you through that for a reason, for a purpose. And just like Zion, those times 16 when he was literally, I want to say hell on earth. I don't want to use that word. He probably never knew. But then when he actually finally got, I probably saw a light at the end of the tunnel, he turned it around and he worked harder. And he became an example. Now he's writing books. Now he goes around talking to people with disabilities that it doesn't have to limit you. And you heard what he said. He said, you don't need legs to make footprints in the world. You can make a footprint. You can make a change. You can change your world. And I can change my world too. Again, I want to encourage you as I round up this session of Stand Up. Thank you for listening. It's wonderful to have you all here. Don't forget, again, this is Test to Testimony. And what we are doing here is encouraging each other with just real life stories, empowering each other so that we can move forward and fulfill that purpose that God has created us to fulfill. And tonight, I want to say thank you again as I round up. My name is Tina Ipironke. This is Stand Up. I will encourage you to join us next week. If you probably have one friend or the other that may use this recording to help them, that just send it to them. Thank you so much. God bless you. Again, you do not need legs to make a footprint in this world. That was Zion Clark's word, and I'm leaving that with you. Now, whatever situation, it shouldn't set you back. You can still change your world. God bless you and have a blessed day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.